All right, so who is telling the truth? We know that Customs and Border Patrol is dealing with a crisis. For 3 months in a row, a surge of 100,000 border crossers have been taken into custody. They're being held in facilities that were never designed to house them. But today, CBP is on defense after the discovery that some of their people are posting heinous statements on a secret Facebook page called I'm 1015 about the people that are in their custody and about lawmakers like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. In the post, they reportedly share sexual jokes about members of Congress and laugh about the deaths of migrants. The president was asked about this a short time ago.
Well, I don't know what they're saying about members of Congress. I know that the Border Patrol is not happy with the Democrats in Congress. I will say the Republicans do want border security. The Border Patrol, they're patriots. They're great people. They love our country. They know what's coming in.
All right, so in moments to tell his side of the story as pressure builds on them is Chief of Law Enforcement Operations for U.S. Border Patrol, Brian Hastings. But we begin with correspondent David Spunt, who has the backstory on this big story tonight from Washington. David.
Hi, Martha. This story is troubling, to say the least, and we're learning this group isn't new. It's 3 years old this August. The group has just under 10,000 members. It's a secret Facebook group, and ProPublica, the independent investigative journalism organization, alerted the public to some of the downright disgusting posts. Now, the group is made up of current and former members of the U.S. Border Patrol. The banter in the group is derogatory. Members are caught making fun of migrant deaths, including the father and daughter found dead in the Rio Grande last week. Members in the group say that the father and daughter are, quote, too clean, and suggest that members of the Democratic Party faked and edited that upsetting photograph. Martha, several of the images on the site are of a sexual nature. Not only are immigrants depicted this way, several members of Congress are as well, including Democratic Congresswomen Veronica Escobar and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Now, one member encouraged others to throw burritos at the Congresswoman, but didn't call them Congresswoman, used another word. Ocasio-Cortez tweeting today, quote, 9,500 CPB officers sharing memes about dead migrants and discussing violence and sexual misconduct towards members of Congress. How on earth can CPB's culture be trusted to care for refugees humanely? P.S. I have no plans to change my itinerary and will visit the CPB station today. Now, Ocasio-Cortez lived up to that promise. She spent the day in Clint, Texas, near the El Paso CPB facility. Now, she toured that border facility that grabbed headlines last week for some of those inhumane conditions. She was asked about the disturbing Facebook group today in Texas. Listen.
It's just indicative of the violent culture that we saw on the inside.
Martha, the Inspector General for the Office of Homeland Security investigating this group. Border officials hope to find every member of the group that posted this outrageous things and hold them accountable. Very disturbing story, Martha.
David, thank you. So earlier I spoke exclusively with Chief of Law Enforcement Operations for U.S. Border Patrol, Brian Hastings. Sir, thank you very much for being here today. I would imagine that this is a difficult day for you and the folks in leadership there when you look at these really heinous allegations.
It is. These actions are not representative of the professionalisms and the standards of conduct that we as Border Patrol agents hold ourselves accountable to.
All right. So, I mean, when you go through these, there are jokes about a 16-year-old migrant from Guatemala who died in custody. And just to give people a sense of what these are like, it says one member posted a GIF of Elmo with the quote, "Oh, well." Another responded with an image of the words, "If he dies, he dies." I mean, this is, it's one thing to say these are just isolated incidents, sir, but what happens to these individuals who are posting things like this, who obviously don't belong in your leadership group?
So each of these incidents have already been turned over to the Office of the Inspector General and to our own Office of Professional Responsibility within CBP. All of these will be thoroughly investigated and the appropriate actions will be taken.
And what is the appropriate action?
We'll have to let the investigation take place in order to know what actions to take. So there will be a full investigation, as I said. The investigation has already started as soon as we were notified of these posts.
So, well, I'm just curious, personally, you know, this is an AP report about a 12-year-old migrant girl. She says she and her 6-year-old sister were held. They slept on the floor. Some of the children were locked away when they cried for their parents, she said, and that the children had been held in squalid, unsanitary conditions, not allowed to play or to bathe. What's your response to that, which goes more directly to the other issue, which is the conditions in these facilities?
So what I would say is we have been transparent for months in the current capacity issues that we have. Our facilities were not built for long-term detention. They were built for short-term detention. Right. We find ourselves today doing the best we can, and I can tell you that that is providing the essential meals, the essential hygiene products, the essential bathing schedules for these folks that we have that are coming into our custody. Having said that, as I said before, we are not long-term, not meant to house long-term or short-term detention facilities. And so we need the help of our partners in order to get these individuals out of our custody and get them into the proper areas where they can be cared for in more of a long-term manner.
You know, I guess I want to get to the heart of your reaction and the response. I mean, is there a no-tolerance policy for this sort of behavior? Because it certainly doesn't help your cause in getting word out that you're doing the very best you can and that you have so many professionals as part of your ranks, which we have seen and interviewed as well.
So, as I said before, there will be a thorough investigation. The proper actions will be taken. And I would also point to a case in point is we've had over 3,400 rescues so far this fiscal year. A lot of those rescues have been agents actually jumping in the water, saving migrants, and actually reviving migrants. Last weekend, we had a young child that an agent jumped in the water, saved, performed CPR, and brought the child back to life. So we hear those stories every day. The men and women of the Border Patrol are out there doing these things. Saving aliens on a daily basis. But unfortunately, those aren't the stories that we're hearing about. Yeah,
well, I'm glad that you're mentioning those stories, because obviously there are a lot of very hardworking individuals who are part of your force who are doing the very best they can within the circumstances that exist out there. And I want to make it very clear that we understand that this is not a reflection of the vast majority of the people who are out there. At least that's our understanding. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, to mention her again, because she's been visiting these facilities today, she says that women were drinking out of a toilet. Let's listen to that.
They put them in a room with no running water, and these women were being told by CBP officers to drink out of the toilet. They were drinking water out of the toilet, and that was them knowing a congressional visit was coming. This is CBP on their best behavior, telling people to drink out of the toilet.
Well, what's your response to that, sir?
As I said earlier, we don't treat people that way. We provide fresh water, we provide food, we provide sanitary items as well as items for bathing and personal hygiene, and that's...
Are you saying that she's lying?
I'm telling you what we do, and we've been open and honest. We've had these tours quite frequently, and those are the things we provide. We have fresh water available at all times in our facilities.
Before I let you go, sir, can you give me one law or one change that would make this situation better in your mind?
Flores. We need amendment to the Flores regulation. We have to apply some consequence to stop this flow.
And how would that change it?
So we have to be able to hold longer than 20 days, quite frankly, in order to work them through the proper system. We need additional judges and additional CIS individuals helping work through the cycle as well. But if you don't apply a consequence, the flow will never stop.
So you have no choice at this point but to separate these parents and children?
We're not separating, no. I'm just saying we need a fix to the current Flores legislation.
You are not currently separating any parents or children, because there's reports of, little girls being led in one direction in a line and into a tent. Those families are together?
If they are not true family members, in other words, a mother, father, or legal guardian, or if the parent is convicted of a criminal, has a warrant out, in those cases we are separating.
Understood. Thank you very much, Chief Hastings, for joining us and for answering the tough questions today. Obviously, it's a difficult thing for you to hear this about members of your own group, and we appreciate you speaking with me. Good to have you here tonight, sir. You bet.
Thanks.